What are the benefits of using mindfulness? Great question. Mindfulness is all around us. Why is it so popular? I'll tell you why it's so popular. Because never before have we been more stressed, frustrated, and anxious at work. Mindfulness, let me tell you, is a wonder drug that has no side effects. Watch this video and learn about some of the benefits of mindfulness, and at the end, we'll do a little bit of practice on how to begin mindfulness in your life. Do you ever watch those programs at night? At least for me, they always seem to come on at night. They're the ads for the drugs with these exotic names. And so they talk about the drug and they have these wonderful smiling families and dogs and cats and everyone's playing and happy. And then at the very end, there's that disclaimer. Side effects may include headaches, nausea, limbs falling off, and eventually death. Well, today I want to talk about mindfulness. And mindfulness can help you achieve some of those happy pictures that you see. Mindfulness can help you be more present in the moment, to really enjoy life, to really lighten up, and to let stress not be as impactful. And unlike those other drugs, there really is no side effects. There just is the positive effects. So it's a really good question, I suppose, here to ask, what is mindfulness? And mindfulness now has been around in the Western world for the last 30 or 40 years. And one of the real people who helped develop that was Jon Kabat-Zinn. And I really love his definition of what mindfulness is. He says that mindfulness is paying attention in the present moment as if your life depended on it non-judgmentally. Let's take that apart a little. Mindfulness is paying attention in the present moment. So constantly coming back to the present. Because let's face it, we spend so much of our lives distracted, thinking about things that are going to happen tomorrow and the day after, thinking about things that might never happen, or else we're thinking of things that have just happened, or things that have happened in our past. Mindfulness is the leaving of the future, the leaving of the past behind, and just being present. And being present in a certain way as if your life depended on it. That's right, that's the intensity of the effort to be present. And then the final element of that definition is non-judgmental. You see, so often we have a critic going on in our head telling us you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong. Oh my God, you're so stupid, you're dumb, can you not get this right? And mindfulness is all about, in some way, not necessarily turning off that voice, but just noticing it and refocusing. See, one of the things that mindfulness helps us do is to focus and then become aware of when we've gone out of focus and coming back to that focus time and time and time again. And the benefits for this are huge in our lives. So let's focus on 3 sets of benefits that I want to talk about: mental, physical, and emotional. One of the things I wanted to do was compile a list of some of the benefits of mindfulness. There are more and more research projects coming out which are emphasizing some of the different benefits that come to us from mindfulness. So today I just wanted to share with you a collection of some of those results. I want to break them down into 3 different areas, the first of which is physical. So how does mindfulness impact our physical bodies and how we feel physically? Well, here's what some of the research says. Our blood pressure is decreased. What it's shown in experiments is that 5 years after a heart attack, a person is better able to modulate their stress and has an impact our immune systems. A recent research study I read about is that a person who got a flu shot had more antibodies against the flu because of practicing mindfulness. Our cortisol, which is the stress hormone, is also reduced with the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us activate our parasympathetic nervous system. Why is that important? Because so often we are stressed today, so often we are put in a fight or a flight situation, which we call the sympathetic nervous system. And mindfulness helps us move out of that fight or flight and move into a more calm demeanor. And finally, mindfulness can help us deal with pain. Even in some studies, pain of the most extreme type can be controlled and can be reduced through mindfulness. So that's the physical impact of mindfulness. Let's move now to the mental. So what the mental studies are showing us are this, that through mindfulness, we are able to extend our ability to focus and to pay attention. We're able to do that because in the mindfulness practice I mentioned at the beginning, it helps us to focus and to refocus. And so often when it comes to attention, what happens is that our mind drifts away and we have to come back to focus. So mindfulness helps us focus and then refocus and begin to notice earlier when our focus has drifted away from what the task is on hand. Mindfulness helps us build our resilience, our mental resilience. People with a mindfulness practice tend to come back quicker from setbacks in their lives and show more resilience. Finally, mindfulness helps us become more creative. It helps our divergent and convergent thinking, and that generates more particular ideas and also some of the big picture ideas. And finally, there is the emotional benefits that comes to us from mindfulness. What we know is that mindfulness helps us regulate emotions in a more powerful way. Now, there's no surprise there because part of emotional regulation is based on the ability to be aware of emotions in the moment. And mindfulness truly helps us become more present to those emotions as they're happening and therefore offers us a space where we have more choice over what we want to do with those emotions. Studies also show that mindfulness reduces the impact of depression and loneliness and negative self-talk. You know, that little voice in the head which keeps talking to us? Well, mindfulness helps that be put at bay because we're able to notice it and then move away from it, and notice it and move away from it. Finally, mindfulness helps increase our compassion and our levels of empathy. So it's pretty clear. Here we have a practice that impacts us positively in the areas of our physical health, of our mental health, and of our emotional health. And so the question is, why aren't we all doing it? And how do I get started? Well, I want to end this video showing you just a little practice on how you might begin to introduce mindfulness into your life. Most mindfulness begins with a simple concept of our breath. You know, our life force depends on that breath. Each and every day, unconsciously, our body breathes and gives it life-giving oxygen. And so what can truly help us become present to the moment is to focus on that breath, to become present to the breath. And so what we want to do as we start a practice of meditation and a practice of mindfulness is to take maybe 5 minutes to begin. And just to use that 5 minutes to focus on our breath. And what I mean by that is to find a comfortable posture. And when we find that comfortable posture, to just focus on our breathing in and out. And as we breathe in, just begin to notice what that air feels like on our nose and our nostrils. And then as we breathe out, once again, to notice the air leaving our body. And that's all we do. We just focus on that breath in and that breath out. Now, it sounds simple, and yet it is so amazingly difficult to do. Try it. Even after a few seconds, what we'll find is all of a sudden our thoughts begin to enter. And this is where the challenge comes, and this is really where the non-judgment comes. So the practice is to begin to breathe in and to breathe out, and then all of a sudden, as a thought comes, so say after 10 seconds, we're breathing in, we're breathing out, and then all of a sudden the thought is, oh, I have that meeting today, oh, and I have to pick up my son at school early today. Instead of saying, oh, see, you can't do this, running to judgment, what we do is we just say, interesting, that's a thought. And then we just leave the thought where it is, and we come back in to notice our breathing in and out. And we attempt to do that for 5 minutes. Once again, just focusing on the breath. And when we find ourselves coming up with a thought or being distracted, we just call it what it is, a thought, and we move back into focusing once again on our breathing pattern. back and forth and back and forth. And what this is doing is building within us this incredible muscle, this muscle that helps us notice when we've been distracted, to name it, and to move back into focus. It's also beginning to help raise awareness within our bodies. There are many different ways of doing meditation. We can also do a body scan, which takes that 5 minutes perhaps, and then just scans the body from top to bottom and asks a simple question: what am I feeling in this part of my body? Am I feeling tension, cold, heat, whatever it is? This is a great way of building up our awareness of some of the bodily impulses that we are having. Mindfulness is an amazing practice. It not only gives us the physical, the mental, the emotional benefits that we talked about, but as well as that, it also adds to our ability to grow our emotional intelligence. And mindfulness is so connected into building a stronger emotional intelligence. It helps us build our self-awareness. It helps us create a space that when we are triggered, that we're able to choose a response that is thoughtful in the midst of an emotional triggering. Mindfulness helps us create a space where we're able to recognize others. And mindfulness also creates an environment where we can be a lot more thoughtful in the relationship that we are creating, in being able to listen, and the barriers perhaps that come to our listening, to the times in conversations when our attention has focused away, and then we're able to refocus just like we are in our mindfulness meditation. There you have it. Mindfulness truly is this wonder drug without any side effects. I encourage you that if you've never thought about adopting a mindfulness practice, that this is something you choose, and just take 5 minutes your day and begin to manage that practice. Begin with a simple breathing exercise. I promise you that without a doubt, you'll begin to feel some of the benefits. And if mindfulness is intriguing you, then I really want you to watch the next video, which talks about using mindfulness throughout our workday to help us to be more focused and centered, and to bring our emotional best selves each and every day.